everybody, and welcome to the newest indoor adventure in Ghosts of Saltmarsh Salvage Operation, Part 2. Today is August 15th, 2019, and you are loved. It is a very important thing to remember and to hear, especially if you listen to this show or you know somebody who doesn't listen to this show or watch this show yet. Let them know they are loved, because everybody should know that. Other things that everybody else should know is that, hey, on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we put on this show at twitch.tv/indoor adventures. We got homebrew games, Curse of Straw games, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and Saturdays we also have community days, which, for all of you fans of our looming 20s game, we have decided to play that game once a month on one of those Saturdays. So look forward to those disaster children, because I love playing a psychic vampire former secretary who is now just the embodiment of evil. It's a fun time. If you want to continue having fun times, consider checking out our Discord, or by going to patreon.com/indoor adventures. You can possibly get access to our after show, which we do after the show, where we answer questions not only from you guys, but from each other, just in case there's something that me as a player really wants to know about you as a player. Maybe. You also get access to our Discord that way, so consider checking it out. Other ways to support the show: we have a merch shop set up at bit.ly/adventure merch, where we got posters, we got mugs, we got t-shirts, we got sweatshirts that I don't have around me because, god damn it, it's really hot out here right now. So if you are interested in seeing what that looks like, consider going and checking out our merch store. We also have, Connor, what's that in the background? What's that beautiful piece?
Why, this beautiful piece?
The very same.
Is the Arjan X Tarlean fanfiction that everybody wanted. No. Please no.
We all want the fan fiction, but we are all too scared to write it.
I just miss my dad.
Well, you can find that excellent poster up on our merch shop. And for all of you audiocast listeners, I would like to regret to inform you that KyleWithAnN is not going to be joining us this evening because she was off getting engaged and graduating from school and all of that. So congratulations, KyleWithAnN. I hope that you hear this and that you understand how happy we all are for you. And I'm sure our viewers are also happy for you as well. So, as we start off our game, Dingo, who are you playing tonight?
I'm Dingo. I use she, her, and I am playing Hish Sunguard, the half-orc fighter, local normal dude TM, who uses he, him.
Excellent. And Reeves, who are you playing tonight?
Hi, I am Reeves, he, him, and I am playing Ulman Dark /Ham, who uses he, him, or they, them.
Hi, I'm Cyber. I play Albus, the Kalastra Bard. We both use he, him.
And I am the Indoor Adventurer, and tonight I shall be your Dungeon Master. So, last we left off, we have a little bit of recap. 2 episodes ago, you guys ended up discovering that Ulman had a mark of Umberly upon his daggered hilt, and last session, Jill found out. It was not a very pretty discovery, to say the least. She had just gotten contracted by Omen Dark by Omen Drawn, to go and investigate the current shambling form of the Iron Duke, a ship with which Hish was actually quite familiar. However, in the way from going from the diner where she had initially been contracted back to the ship, that is when she met up with Ulman, had a rather terse discussion. I would say a pretty one-sided discussion from Hish's or from Jill's perspective going outward about how, quite frankly, angry she was about the whole thing, before returning the dagger back to Ham's body, and then proceeded to go to the ship. Once on the ship, they informed Hish that Ulman had contracted for them to set sail the following day to go investigate the shambling ruins of the Iron Duke. It was at that point, Hish, that you said that you had to go back to your family just as like, I need to talk this over with some people that I know, and you proceeded to leave. During that time, Albus, you ended up getting confronted by a guard. And while it might have seemed like it could have been a bit confrontational at first, you ended up gaining a will of KyleWithAnN, the wizard in the tower of the city that you had befriended, to put lightly. And then that friend had jumped off of the cliff face, with you being the last living person to have seen them alive. However, the will stated that you would be entitled to the mansion if you stayed overnight there into the following morning and then reported to the guards what you had done. So, wanting to get this over as quickly as possible as your following journey to go to the remains of the Iron Duke near a small island which Albus had been wanting to go towards anyways, as that was the last known location where a Chul was. You ended up staying the night there and fighting a creature known as an Alip, who knew a terrible, terrible secret, which was Albus was the one who done killed him, and even projected that out into the house. Albus, it was an accident, we all agree, but KyleWithAnn's dead, and he doesn't exactly have the best determining ideas based on that. However, you were able to defeat this ghostly ghoulie inside of the haunted house, and Jill made pillow forts for you all to kind of rest in. And so we are going to pick up in that haunted house and Jill will look over at you, Ulman, and just say, well, I suppose that counts for the ghost you said that you were going to show me. You are muted.
I did promise.
She looks over at Albus. It said that it killed you? Or you killed it?
Yeah, I suppose it did.
I'm sure ghosts say a lot of strange things. And when she says that, she kind of gives you a very knowing look, because I believe that the two of you had talked about that before. Correct? If not, it's a very suspicious look.
I know Hish and I had a conversation, and Hish may have talked to her about it, but I don't remember as a player. Yeah, Albus would remember.
That's fair. Yeah, so Jill is just going to kind of give you a suspicious look and then say, so, sleeping here tonight? Actually, do I need to stay here? We've cleared out the ghost.
If you think it would be wise to do more of an exorcism.
All right. I'll go and check the rooms. Jill just sort of wanders onto the top floor, as she was the only one of you, really, who is not exactly perturbed by this ghastly experience. And you just hear the sound of her foot checking against a door upstairs and just, fuck off, ghost! Then goes down the next one, kicks open a door, and repeats that for as many rooms as this house actually has, allowing you to kind of keep a auditory track of where Jill is.
I couldn't have killed him. That... Why?
I don't have an answer for you. But I'm glad that I was here.
Thank you.
Anytime.
And Albus is pretty silent.
I think Ulman just goes and, like, sits in the corner. Zones out.
All right, and as you're sitting in the corner zoning out in Albus, you're kind of having this moment of internal debate and reflection. Jill eventually comes back from the second floor. Just, all clear, no problems. Some weird shit down that hall, but, like, it looks more like weird standard wizard shit. And Albus, you know that was one of the storerooms that KyleWithAnN had. And then Jill comes down and continues to go and investigate all of the other rooms on the main floor. And eventually she comes back and says, all of it's in the clear. Wasn't able to detect any kind of undead that was left in the building. It all just seems creepy, weird. This guy had a lot of knickknacks. Did he have guests a lot that you saw? What did he just have, like, rooms set up?
It was just me as far as I knew.
Okay. And she just sort of, like, gives you this, again, more suspicious look. And then, well, I'm going to go to the ship. And I'm just going to rest there for the night. If you all need me for anything, you know where to find me.
All right. Thank you, Jill.
Have a good night, Albus. And then as she's making her way towards the door, she looks at you, Ulman. Just, Ulman? Nods in your direction and then walks out. And then do the two of you just have a very quiet, reflective evening?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hey, Ham. What was that thing you did?
And Ham kind of responds like he isn't exactly sure what you're asking. He's done a lot of things.
The same bolt that Jill fires.
Look fun!
All right. Why do we do it exactly like she does?
That's how it all works. Everyone does it that way.
Do they? I guess you should know as well as I do.
It's the same. Jill says blah 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 when she casts spells. Albus goes blah 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 when he casts spells. Everyone does it the same. You hands and then blah 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 blah.
You know what? Makes sense to me. If I had hands, I would try. But, well, I already know we can do it, apparently. All right. Well, great job.
I've seen some people, they need to hold on to something cool. Something shiny and nice. So that's why I hold you out when I do it.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate you thinking of me as shiny and nice.
And you just feel the exuberance of Ham as you have this conversation.
Ulman himself feels a little bit better than he did earlier today.
That's fair. All right. And Hish, you have decided to go back to your family, or at least your house at this point, to, one, go to sleep. You don't sleep on the ship. You actually have a residence here in town. And by the time that you arrive at your house, it is still later on in the day, but you see that the red-skinned tiefling child that was there previously, that you had visited, who was asleep, is this time currently awake, as there's still a little bit of daylight left. So they are currently playing out in the front. And when you come by, they just raise their arms out wide and just, Dad! And then rush you.
Hey, Squirt. And he picks him up and gives him a big hug and then pulls him over and puts him on his shoulders as he starts walking towards the house. What have you been up to today?
There was fancy shells down at the beach, and then Jamie said that my horns look stupid, but then I said that she looks stupid, and then she started crying and ran away, and then I had to apologize, but I ended up giving her the shiny rock that I found, and we're friends still.
Well, that's very nice of you, buddy. And he swings him down and walks into the house with him. And he sort of gets down on one knee and looks him in the eye and says, now don't you listen to anybody who says anything about your horns, because I think they look extremely cool.
And you just see Oliver is just beaming at this point. They are so happy and just, yeah, like touching at the base, because they're not like fully developed horns yet. They are still in the awkward young pokies that tieflings get.
Oh, so cute. He looks around the house and says, is your mother around?
Oliver nods and Mom, and then rushes on into the back, and at that point Talia pokes her head out, hearing the commotion outside. She has an apron on. She looks like she was in the middle of making dinner, and then sort of says, all right, go set the table. And Oliver's in the process of trying to tell her everything that he just got done telling you. And it looks like she may have already heard the story at some point in the day. But he's more telling the story of, and then I told Dad this, and then I told Dad this, and like, same story, but just adding in the fact that he has then told you about it. And so she brushes him off, and then seeing as you're home, she ends up saying, well, hope you're in for another stew. It's really the best that I can do right now. How are you? How was your day? And she just sort of like motions for you to sit more towards the table as your son just rushes back. He's doing the thing where he's only bringing one plate at a time. But at the same time, he has so much energy built up, and it's like, yes, good. Spend all of that energy. Do it.
Yeah, I think Hish leans against the counter, and as Ollie runs back and forth, every time he comes over, he grabs another plate and hands it to him. And he says, well, it was a day. But I got paid, so
well, maybe
we could do a little better than stew this week.
Like, how much better than stew are we talking?
Like maybe some kind of fancy ham or prosciutto. I think that's a fancy ham.
Is that like a fey name? Are we going to get in trouble if you say prosciutto 3 times into a mirror?
No, I'm pretty sure it's a thinly sliced ham meat of some kind. I've heard of it. I've never actually had it.
Well, but if you got paid well enough to buy things that you've only heard about, I'm assuming can't have been that bad of a day. I mean, you've been gone for a little bit, but
I had to stop a woman from screaming at a dagger in the street.
I feel stupid for saying this, but what did the dagger do to her? Did it stab her and she was angry at it and it was her dagger, or was this someone else's?
A little bit more complicated than that. Not quite, and he sort of lifts himself onto the counter. Not quite, just an unruly dagger. This dagger is a man, and the man complimented Umberlee's eyes.
How? This is your friend Ulman? Ulman? In what scenario do you meet the goddess of the ocean and the first thing you do is compliment their eyes? What scenario?
In a dream, I guess. That's just Ulman. He's kind and sweet to a fault. And I guess he was wooed by her endless ocean of eyeball. I don't know. Honestly.
He's trying to get himself killed. You know that, right?
No, I know. I know very well, because if it's not by Umberlee, it's certainly going to be by Jill.
And she has a problem with him? Like, more so than just what the fuck, why, but like an actual problem?
Well, that was kind of Albus's mind reaction of like, what the fuck, why? But no, she's a cleric of Umberlee, and I guess she had warned him, don't mess with the B word queen, and Oliver, cover your ears.
Okay, and he puts his hands up and you hear the shattering of a plate.
Oh, God. I'll get the broom. Hish goes to the pantry, pulls out a broom, and sort of, you know what, buddy? I'll finish the table. Why don't you go run around out back for a little bit? And sort of shuffles him out the door, and starts sweeping up the plate. I get the feeling that, or I get the impression that she's not serving Umberlee in any sort of willing manner.
Oh?
I don't know if that's kind of the status quo for priests of Umberlee. I don't know. Our old one seemed pretty chill, but there's something bad going on there, and she's not happy about it. And I guess she tried to warn Ulman not to mess with her, and Ulman goes and compliments her eyes, and...
Well, in a way, I mean, it's telling of your friend, at least, that the first time that he meets possibly one of the scariest deities that exist on this plane, that he chose kindness as his first option, and in a nice way. It wasn't anything entirely objectifying. It was seems like just a compliment.
He's a gentleman through and through, but it's not just a compliment when Umberlee's involved. You compliment her eyes, you basically become her bitch. B word.
He's outside, it's okay.
I know, but I'm trying to get in the habit because I think he's picking up on some of it. Have you heard about this Jamie that he's friends with that apparently has been telling him his horns?
I do not like that girl at all. She is just an absolute terror on the neighborhood. I've tried talking to her parents about it, but they're gone working in the mines.
It's a damn shame. She probably could use her parents. I kind of feel sorry for her. Damn it.
Look, leave Jamie to me. You're helping us out in every way that you can, and I appreciate it. I know it's not easy. Going out like you do. But I at least like to have a place you can come back to. Even if it's just a place for you. The only thing I touch in your room is your sheets. Just make sure they're actually done proper.
Thanks. You don't have to do that. I just...
Old habits.
Right.
Now...
Right.
So, your friend yelled at your other friend for poor decisions. Is there anything else that happened today? She tries to kind of change the subject away from matters less depressing.
I met Jim Dark Magic.
Who?
Seems like Jim Dark Magic. Apparently he's some famous magician. Seems like kind of an a-hole.
I think I remember him now. Mother had his collector's set of plates.
God. He had a collector's set of plates. That tracks.
It was in his younger years. Is he still doing magic? He must be
doing
like,
magic and getting drunk off the chowder at a snapping line.
No.
Yeah, It wasn't a pretty sight. It wasn't his best appearance.
That I'm sure the locals loved it. And she just kind of starts giggling to herself about the idea of Jim Dark Magic getting just wrecked off of chowder.
Yeah, he was in the process of getting thrown out when I found him. But we're trying to make nice with some lizard folk. Not lizard folk, I forget. That are supposedly, gearing up for some kind of war. We're trying to make sure they're not going to attack Saltmarsh. Yada, yada, yada. In exchange for peace, I gotta give the queen a signed picture of Jim Dark Magic. So, it all went well.
And you got a signed picture of him?
It wasn't hard. I think it just keeps them on him at all times.
That honestly sounds very, very accurate from how Mother described him.
Yeah, did have to bully him a little bit, though, into spelling the name right.
Well, sometimes people can get knocked down a peg. And that's okay. If they're too full of themselves.
Yeah, especially with these Acquisition Incorporated folks. They haven't been causing any trouble in the town, have they?
Not trouble, it's just that more so they put themselves up on a place where people used to go when it got too hot and would jump off the cliff into the water, but now there's this huge tower there and it feels weird going up there to just try and enjoy yourself when there's a really cold looking corporate building that just seemed to have popped up overnight, just staring down at the town imposingly.
Yeah, not really a family picnic spot anymore, huh?
And there are a lot of people who see that tower as having ruined their view. They liked being able to look up at the side of the cliff, and now they're, again, just this large tower with all of that annoying livery. It's everywhere. Everywhere they go. AI, AI, AI.
This is going to become a whole thing, isn't it? There's going to be city council meetings. There's going to be protests.
Maybe. I'm not sure, to be honest, because from what I've heard, is that they bought a house that was just outside of the city limits, and that's where they're choosing to actually, well, house their operation out of.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so the old haunted one that what's-his-face used to talk about at the snapping line.
Yeah.
We cleared that out, and they bought it out from underneath us. It's fine. It's actually better if they move in there anyway.
I heard they paid quite a pretty penny for it. So
3,000 gold.
That's
Someone didn't live that down at Acquisitions Incorporated.
I would not think so. That house does not look like it was worth nearly that much money.
No.
Maybe
It was
a tenth of the price.
Maybe. There was a room completely ruined with spiders.
Oh. You could not pay me to live in that house.
No, we didn't even go in there. We just shut the door and wrote a big nope on the front.
Good.
Anyway, when they move in there, it should get rid of the tower, and hopefully everyone will calm down a little bit.
Hopefully.
And he pulls out he opens one of the drawers and pulls out, a few forks and a couple of spoons. And says, "There's I'm just gonna be staying the night. There's another job lined up for me."
Oh, is it going to be as prosciutto paying as this last one?
Maybe not. That was kind of a stroke of luck. But
Hish, make a brief history check.
Okay. What's my history? Oh, that's a natural one.
Okay. Yeah, just keep going.
Okay. Hish says, apparently the Duke has been sighted, the Iron Duke.
And you see Talia her back straightens up and she looks at you and just kind of tilts her head a little bit and just... But you said that it sank.
It did. I almost died getting away from it.
I remember. So, how... And your job is to go there? Who's paying you to do this?
Acquisitions Incorporated. I didn't get the whole...
Do you work
gist
for them?
Did I not tell you that?
That's fine.
So I sort of, Ulman and Albus and Jill and I, we all sort of are contract workers for them, for their Saltmarsh division.
They better be paying you handsomely.
They're paying so far fairly well.
I have heard rumors about how that Omendron lives, and about all of the shenanigans those boys get up to in Neverwinter and Waterdeep. They have money for days, so if they aren't paying you what you feel like you deserve to be paid, there's no excuse.
I'll take them for all they're worth.
Good. As you should.
And it might be able to get me a couple of discounts in a couple of places, so...
Well, that would be awful helpful with supplies around the house.
Feel free to throw their name around. Nobody really knows we're divorced yet, so...
All right. I'll do my best to use their name. It feels weird.
I mean, think about it in the same way that you just told me. You know? They've got tons of shit. They've got tons of gold. If it helps being associated with them, throw their name around a little.
All right. I'll trust you on that one.
I just want you and Oliver to be okay.
We're going to do fine. Even
after this job, I'm gonna be home for a little longer.
Okay. And make an insight check.
Okay. 15 plus 5, 20.
You feel like she doesn't necessarily believe you, but she's saying okay to just let that lie.
Yeah. Hish, kind of looks at the floor and nods and just lets it slide and lets an awkward silence hang for a moment before he says, I didn't get all the details about the job, but apparently it's looking like it's not manned by any crew. They're thinking it's sort of a ghost ship situation. Something on it that they want, I think. I don't know. I'll have to talk to Jill again, but...
All right. Well, can you do one thing for me then on this job?
Depends on what it is.
Can you just send it back to the bottom of the ocean?
Yeah.
You're trying to move past that, I know. And if it's still there, even if it is slightly sailing, just be done with it.
I tried. It came and found me.
So that's why I'm asking you to try again. And this time see to it that it sinks, that it goes. All right. You get the bowls. I'll go grab the kid. And let's just have one last dinner, okay?
Okay. And he grabs the bowls and places them out on the table. And when Oliver comes in, he says, so I heard about, you were telling me about those shells. What kind of shiny shells are we talking? How shiny exactly?
And his eyes get super big, and he puts one hand over his eye, and he said, I was looking for him like I was a pirate, Dad! And he rushes over, and you see that he has a few years back, you would kind of, at like a Ren fair almost, but it's fantasy time, so it's more just guild shows. There was a small leatherworking tent that you had helped fashion a tiny little coin purse for. Mm-hmm. And then you gave it to him, and that's kind of what he uses as his treasure bag. And so you see him come over and just kind of spill these rocks and gems in front of you.
And Hish goes, ooh, actually, I got you something, buddy. And he goes into his pocket, and he pulls out the shark tooth necklace.
Okay.
That he had taken from the lizard folk, and he hands it over to Ollie, and he says, "That's real shark teeth."
And his eyes just go wide, just whoa! Just
turn around, I'll put it on you. And he puts it on.
Doesn't know what to do, so he quickly turns around and then just stiff as a board. Like his shoulders are up a little bit, so you have to push his shoulders down so that way you can actually put the necklace on.
Mm-hmm. He ties it on and spins it back around. He says, "That looks very handsome on you."
And he just has the most like wondrous look in his eyes before, as he's looking at you, just beaming appreciation and affection towards his dad. Make a perception check. As you kind of like are just enjoying your dinner and looking over these gemmies that he has found, his treasures.
That is a 6 plus 5, 11.
Okay. So as you're looking over these, all of the shells seem fairly old. A lot of them are cracked. You see that there are little bits of quartz that he's actually found. Like, it's not worth anything, but the fact that he has found some honest to goodness gems you could see has really brightened his mood. But there's one shell that kind of looks very peculiar to you. And as you look at it, it seems like it has this very deep green texture to it, and on the sides there are actually growths what look to be more similar to like crab bits on it. And you recognize this color. You've actually seen this before when you were at the Lizard Man camp. You remember very distinctly a moment where Albus pointed and asked, "What is that?" to a long tentacle-faced crustacean creature that was on the wall. And as you look at this, and as you look at the, and as you think back about it, this is the same kind of color and texture that you remember seeing on what was later identified as a chul.
Cool. Great. Love this. This is so good. He kind of points at it and says, "Ollie, where'd you find this one?"
And Ollie will describe that there is a sandbar that you are familiar with. It's near the jumping point. It is where Albus actually spends a lot of his time underwater. And the way that he described finding it is that it just kind of washed up on the beach, and he was digging through the sand around that area, and he found this bit of crab shell that seemed to have this, as he put it, a dragon scale growing on it. As he's a kid, so he just assumes it's a dragon turtle.
Hish sort of picks it up in his fingers and sort of turns it around and says, I want you to be careful when you're digging over there, okay, buddy? Don't go too far.
He says, "I will, Dad. Never above the waist. Otherwise the waves might take you, and I don't want to go."
I don't want you to go either, buddy. Do you mind if I take this with me for good luck?
Mm-hmm. He says, "It's your share of the treasure, shipmate."
Thank you, Captain. And he tucks it into his jacket.
Okay. Yeah, and you end up having a very nice, albeit a little bit quiet dinner between you and Talia, but Ollie's exuberance, it very much makes up for it during this time. And then eventually you end up putting your child to bed. And then Talia ends up saying goodnight as well, leaving you to then go to sleep in your own location later on in the evening, unless there was anything else that you wanted to do before going to sleep.
I don't think so.
Okay. So we are then going to come back at the start of the day. So all of your health points have returned. All of your spell slots have returned. Everything you had is back the way that it should be. Because Albus was looking in a pretty rough state.
What did Albus do? Did he breathe? He breathed too hard?
Something breathed at him, kind of.
The ghost of my past mistakes dropped me to 2 hit points.
No!
It was a good time. So yeah, Albus, you and Ulman end up waking up the following day, unaccosted for the rest of the evening, it would seem. And as you make your way out of the house, you end up locking the door, knowing that you're going to be away for several days. And you find a guard, let them know, "Hey, I stayed there the entire evening." It's you make sure that it's the same guard who knows.
Yep.
And they acknowledge it. They basically had to do the guard version of a Clopen shift because they were the last guard on duty that you saw, and then one of the first ones. Maybe they were on graveyard duty. But they acknowledge that you have stayed in this place the remainder of the evening, so they will make sure that all of the paperwork is drawn up and and is in accordance with local laws, so that way you may inherit this place as your own. And you are free to come and go with it as you please. No one's going to stop you. It is, in the town's eyes, it is your house now. So then, what do the two of you do? Do you end up going back to the ship? Or what was your current plan?
Did Jill give us a meeting place? Or was it just on the ship?
Your meeting place has typically been towards the ship. So you would just assume that is the place to go and meet. And then Hish, when you wake up, you see that there is a note that has been left for you from Talia that says that she is going to go and try and use that Acquisitions Incorporated employee discount that she's heard about to stock up on her share of supplies for the house. Would you like to leave any funds for her as you are making your way out?
I would. If nobody minds. I don't know how money works in this game in D&D. I've never had above like 50 gold before, so I don't know like what a decent amount to leave her would be.
So in the standards of living, as described in the Dungeon Master's Guide, you can basically choose what your standard of living is for your character. So it would be like, oh, I live in very squalid, poor conditions. I pay no money, but I'm eating garbage out of the street. So yay me. Whereas then there is a wealthy, like a wealthy / well-off, which is 3 to 5 gold every week. Or every 10 day, to be fair. So you could, with the hundreds of platinum that you still have left, you could leave like 10 platinum pieces and she would be set for a very long time.
Yeah. Okay, then that's what I'll do. I'll leave 10 platinum. Not just like out, but I think she has like a jewelry box or something in her room. Just like a simple wooden box, and he leaves it in there.
Okay. Sounds good. And then you end up going, you were going to be going off to the ship unless there were any stops that you would like to make along the way.
Nope, just right to the ship.
Okay. So you end up going to the ship, and by the time that you arrive, you see that Ulman and Albus are also, they are like at the base of the gangplank, being able to walk up onto the ship. And you see that Jill is actually coming out of the first mate's quarters. She's kind of rubbing her eyes a little bit. Or actually, she would just kind of be like yawning towards her mouth because her makeup is perfect, so she knows not to smudge it with her hand. So she's going for it. Looking to the 10s always. She probably woke up like an hour ago to just like get perfect in order to then set out. And as she walks out onto the deck, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Hish. Good morning, Albus.
Morning.
Ulman. And then walks down the gangplank and says, all right, we were told that we were supposed to meet, or at least I was told. I received a message last night that we are to meet in front of the tower. Apparently there's going to be a send-off for the main crew. They're heading out today.
Oh, what?
A send-off. They want to give us any last bits of information that we have, and then just they leave.
Oh, okay. So nothing like fancy or anything.
No, we just have to sort of watch them go, I guess.
Why? I don't want to watch them go. I don't care.
I don't either, but it's part of our job now.
What happened to escapism indoor?
Acting happened.
I have like Nights in the courtyard, but I have like 2 send-off meetings in my inbox right now.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. So, Jill ends up taking you guys, kind of leading you up to the tower. And she doesn't really seem like she is in a very talkative mood, for the most part. Just sort of every once in a while you see her look back to make sure that you guys are still following. And it's like, all right, Hish is still there. Albus is still there. Ulman. And like eyes just squint a little bit. And then she continues with what she's doing. And as you guys get up to the top of this cliff face, you see that there are crew members for the airship that was still parked up, and you can see that the balloon is actually very full at this point, and they're looking like they're getting ready for takeoff at any point now. And Omen ends up coming over to the 4 of you and says, so, as a reminder, I don't know if Jill told all of you, it is going to be 200 gold for just sailing out and investigating, seeing if there's anything wrong. Our contractor is looking for a lockbox. It has a bunch of property deeds and promissory notes on the inside of it, so we just need to bring that back. Upon completion, we have been told that we will receive a reward of 10,000 gold pieces to divide amongst all of you for your efforts. So, as far as money goes, that's that. Again, ghost ship, I think. Probably not a ghost. Could be a ghost.
Hardly ever is.
Agreed. And then you hear, but when it is a ghost, it's real fucking cool. And just Omen just slow turns, and you see Jim is just floating on the airship. He doesn't seem like he has actually set foot on solid ground the entire time that you guys have seen him. He is always just hovering slightly over the ground as he goes from place to place. And it's as Omen comes up as well, you see he goes up to the large tower, and he says, persnickety. And the entire tower just begins to shift. And then you watch as it begins to break down into smaller cubes and seems to fold in upon itself until eventually it is just one hand-sized, like baseball-sized cube on the ground, and he picks it up, sets it into his pocket again. You see that the ground that it was on top of, the grass is just dead underneath. There has been absolutely no moisture or possibility of anything really helping that while they have been here. So there is just this big square of dead earth wherever acquisitions left. And Omen says, all right, and is there any questions that you have for me regarding your new duties? We heard back from your secretarian. Apparently they are going to be returning to the house, returning to your new headquarters tomorrow, and then we'll be able to commune with the townspeople on our behalf. Last minute job changes. Everybody like what they're doing? Would you
I
say
seem
you're
satisfied enough.
satisfied with your overall work experience?
Hish blinks.
Fine to me. What did you do with the spider room?
Well, it is now your spider room to do with as you will.
You didn't do anything with the spider room.
Gods, no.
I wouldn't either. You're right.
No, we looked at it. We assessed it. It is your spider room to do with as you please now. This is outside of our
and
hands.
is there going to be a is there going to be reimbursement for dealing with the spider room, so you don't have to?
That depends. A room full of spiders can be incredibly useful in the right situation. Think about it. You need to get information from somebody. You can spend a night in the spider room, or you can tell us what you need to know.
Ooh, I'd crack right away. It's impossible. You can't make it past.
We'll consider it, and we'll speak more of this later.
Think of it as a quirk to your headquarters.
Good quirk.
Good quirk.
You said it was 200 just for sailing out there.
Just for sailing out there, seeing what you can.
I'm going to need a little bit more than that. The ship's going to need maintenance sometime soon. 500? You've been sending out my ship a lot.
This is the first time.
Nope, it's not.
Second time. As far as I am aware. 500 pushing it.
It's the second time in 10 days.
This is money we're getting from the customer. If you wanted to be at that end of the negotiations, I would suggest being higher up as a Hordes person, or possibly see about taking Oceanus's place as your secretarian. I am not going to be paying money out of my pocket when it is, well, a contract job. Should you choose to live at the headquarters, all expenses paid, of course. Food, bedding, all of that.
Excellent. I'll speak with Oceanus about it.
Novel. Now, again, how you choose to complete this endeavor is entirely up to you. I would recommend being able to bring back that lockbox, if it is there. Again, that's the job. But
yep.
I digress. Anyways, Albus, remember what we talked about?
Of course.
Jill, I look forward to seeing more of your documents come in. Hish, keep trying. And Ulman, was it?
Yes.
All right. And he he lets you know, remember, being paid in experience is its own reward sometimes.
Nope, it's not. And Hish turns around and walks away.
Okay. So as Hish, you are beginning your turn to walk away, Omen then gets into the airship, and it begins to lift off. As soon as Omen gets in. It's actually in the stage of lifting as he kind of grabs out onto a side railing and begins getting pulled up. And as you all are watching this, you see from underneath the airship, there is a series of panels that actually look like they recede into the airship, and a glinting object begins to actually descend out from underneath it. Make perception checks as this object again kind of comes down.
Not 20.
Okay.
18.
Nat 20, 18,
8.
and 8. So, Albus, this object feels so familiar. You know you've seen one of these before, but you don't know what they're called. Hish and Ulman, as the boards retreat, you see slowly lowering out is a chandelier. It looks like there is just this kind of very shiny looking chandelier that seems to hang from underneath the ship. And as you are looking at this and just wondering what the fuck, you feel the hair on the back of your head just sort of breeze past you a little bit as this streak of green and red rushes between you, both Ulman and Hish, and you hear a "what ho!" as the figure of Viari leaps off of the side of the cliff with a grappling hook, swivels it onto the chandelier, and in one fell swoop loops himself up onto the deck of the ship. And as he stands, he goes over to the gunrail as Omen has his arms folded, and Jim is prestidigitating magic, saying, "Have a wonderful day" to the people of Saltmarsh. You see Viari then standing looking down at the three of you, and with a very deep bow, he flourishes a cloak. And Hish, you know that cloak. That's the cloak you've been wearing for the last 5 days. As you look down, as he had rushed by, he had somehow managed to switch your cloak and his.
That little bitch is gonna pay.
And you see him give you the same smile that he gave you when he had initially purchased the haunted house out from Gelman Primewater's feet. And he gives a deep, solemn bow as the ship continues to pick off and fly away. Albus.
Listen here. Viari has a stat block. That means he can die.
It's true.
Yeah, Hish narrows his eyes and he starts like shaking a little bit, and Albus and
I'm
Ulman,
so proud of him.
I'm going to strangle that little man. And he turns around and he starts marching back to the ship.
And Jill is having this moment of just pointing at the cape, pointing at you, pointing at the cape, pointing at just, I fuck that guy. She just kind of turns and begins walking off with you as well.
So, as we're walking onto the ship, so where are we going?
Well, from what Omen told me, as well as what the contract said, there is a island about, looking at it, it looks like it's going to be about 7 days travel to the north, and then it should be around there, I think.
Which island to the north?
I don't know. It didn't really have a name. It was just sort of one of the teeth that comes out of the Sword Coast. Apparently it's supposed to have heavy looking jungle? A little bit more so than, well, kind of more needly trees that we have around here.
GM, has the Iron Duke sailed there before?
Yes, this is, you remember that this island was near the place where you actually went down.
Mm.
Do we have a map where we could start charting this out?
I can draw you one. I'll take care of it on the ship, and then Jill, you can navigate us.
I believe Albus was actually the one who wanted to be doing the navigating. Right? That's what we agreed on?
Well, that's
I was doing first mate things.
You're right, I had entirely forgotten. Albus, I'll chart it out for you.
Okay.
All right. So, throughout the day, your hirelings, your Akank fellow members are all going to be coming up onto the ship as well, just getting ready to prepare to actually sail out. And the size of your ship, while not as large as it could be, it's manageable with the 8 of you that are currently on it, as Oceanus is still not in this general vicinity. But you end up getting everything that you need together. Are there any last minute items that you wish to procure while you are still in town?
No, but I do have my new sword, yeah?
Yes, you do.
Can you remind me what that is called so I can add it to my...
It is a flame tongue sword.
Okay.
Which sword is it?
Yes, it's a scimitar, I believe. Yes. It was the 420 Blazed sword.
Who has the helmet?
I have it.
Yeah, Hish.
Cool.
Not Hish. Almond does.
Oh, I was gonna get the alteration on that. Can I? Early in the day, like as after we get back to the ship, Ulman comes up to you and is like, "Do you think I could get like 25 gold? This will be the last I request for a while."
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh! Yeah, sure. What you need it for?
I heard that you can get magic items altered in appearance for relatively cheap, actually.
I wouldn't call 25 gold relatively cheap, but sure. And he hands it over to you.
In terms of magic items, I suppose. Thank you.
Added it instead of...
He like awkwardly shuffles off.
You okay?
No problem. And he goes back to charting or whatever it is he's doing.
All right. Hish, make a survival check with if you have navigator's tools or cartographer tools.
Can I assist because I do have navigator's tools?
Yes.
I also have navigator's tools.
Sweet. I will allow you to assist anyways. So Hish, make that roll with advantage.
That is a natural 20.
Okay. Hish has sailed up and down the Sword Coast before. Quite a few times. Mayhaps they were a navigator on a previous ship. Who's to say? Everyone in that crew's dead, hopefully. But yeah, so you managed to take your time to draw out a very ideal chart of the Sword Coast.
And he's going over each part of it with Albus as he's doing it.
As this is happening, does Albus recognize what this island is? Just based off of conversations that he's had before.
Yes. You would recognize this to be the island where you had heard that is where the Chul head had originated from.
We're going here. That's correct.
That's the one. It means something to you?
Yes. Whenever we were talking to the lizard folk, one of the creatures that they had on display, apparently they hunted it here, somewhere around here.
Hish nods. And this is a creature you're interested in finding?
If this creature was somewhere around here, it's possible that one of my people is around here.
And they'd be able to help you with your memory?
Possibly.
Hish nods. There's something actually you might be interested in. And he pulls the little bit that Ollie found and sets it down in front of Albus on the table. That washed up on the beach.
On the beach near Saltmarsh.
Yep. Near the cliffs. Thought it kind of looked like, the thingy.
It's not quite big enough to be a proper Chul, but it certainly does look similar.
Just thought you might know where it came from.
I might have an idea. And he'll explain that that some of the crabs near Saltmarsh have been undergoing changes.
Like changes as in like natural evolution, or changes as in something that somebody is doing to them changes.
I can't tell.
Does it hurt them, the crabs?
They seem to be fine.
Hopefully they taste the same. And he takes the piece and he puts it back in his pocket. Anyway, yeah, we'll I guess we'll keep an eye out for a friend of yours. If you need to take a swim when we get there, I'll understand.
Honestly, I don't know what to expect whenever we get there. It's been... I don't even remember the last time that I've seen another.
Seems like it kind of makes you uneasy.
Anxious. That's the word I would use.
Yeah, this whole thing makes me anxious too.
Something the matter?
Just don't like ghost ships. Nothing good comes of them.
That's fair. All right, shall we be off?
Yes, as long as Ulman, are you ready?
And that is where we will cut back to Ulman, because you are going to get a magical alteration on this helm of underwater action.
Yeah. I'm also fine just coming back with it.
Yeah. It doesn't take very long to do what you needed to be done. So, as you come back, the helm has transferred into a new design. What does it look like, Ulman?
It is a brown felt cowboy hat with a simple black leather band right around it.
Yeehaw!
Well, howdy.
Hilarious juxtaposed against the, like, red sun on his shield now.
Yeah, so you have a red sun shield. You're still wearing your, like, fantasy swashbuckling book cover clothing. And now you just have this yeehaw cowboy hat as well.
I think it also has a like, big-ass white feather.
Oh, yeah. For sure, it has to be gaudy. A very gaudy feather. If anything, the feather might be what still has the enchantment in it, and it might just be a regular hat. All right, so then Ulman climbs himself up onto the deck. You guys pull the gangplank up, and Jill is in the process of readying all of your able-bodied sailors that are your Acquisitions Incorporated hirelings. And that is when you guys end up setting out. It takes maybe about 40 minutes or so after Ulman has gotten in. It's roughly about midday at this point. But you guys are able to successfully set sail in Oliver's Triumph. And you begin heading north. Now, this journey is going to take 7 days total. So we're going to fast play. I know, fast playing on this channel seems weird. It probably won't happen. But what does a normal fast play experience for you guys on this ship? What is your daily routine?
Navigating.
Okay, so we got navigating.
I think Hish is kind of he wakes up, comes out of the gets dressed, comes out of the captain's quarters, goes down to the I forget what it's called, but the ship kitchen.
The galley.
For the galley. For a cup of coffee, probably greets Ulman there, and then I think he sits down and he has a book that he reads, and then when he's done with his cup of coffee, the rest of the day is him just like he's kind of everywhere, not really micromanaging, but overseeing sort of captaining around the ship. He moves around a lot.
Okay, sounds good. And then Albus, you said that you were navigating. Are you also the helmsman / coxswain? Or are you more like standing next to whoever is currently actually driving the boat? And then you kind of like, yes, stay on course.
Depends on how much Hish wants me to have control over where we're going.
I think Hish leaves you sort of to your own devices well enough. He trusts you not to run us into a rock, and he figures that you're interested in this island as well, so you're not going to lead us anywhere else. So,
all right. So yeah, I'm doing the whole thing.
Okay, make a survival check with advantage.
Survival. That's a 15.
Okay, that was with advantage?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, with a 15, you're sailing in mostly open waters. It's pretty easy to avoid rocks when there are just none in front of you, and the ones that you do see are rather large and imposing, so it's very easy to kind of navigate around them. So yeah, and Albus as the navigator is working perfectly. Every once in a while you'll see him probably pull up his jar of whispers, speak some things into it of just kind of like the general observations of the day-to-day on the crew. More just like, I would assume it's almost like a dossier, like you're keeping like little tabs on the other of the hirelings.
So it's sort of like that. He's probably more thinking of it as just like a mariner's log, just like how far they've gone, what they've seen.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit of keeping tabs on everybody, but not more than any other middle manager.
Fair enough. And then Ulman, you are our ship's chef. So are you just trying to keep the crew fed as well as just be a like, hey, I will make sure that we are all in good spirits by having good food?
Yeah, he spends most of his time either preparing food or cleaning up from preparing food and the crew. He pokes at the crew when he can to like pry for their favorite foods so that he can like prepare things specially for them. And when not doing any of that, is like open to being used for odd jobs if he needs to.
All right, sounds good. So you are a chef / able-bodied sailor. Make a survival roll for cooking. And then you can add your proficiency bonus to it if you don't already, because you have your chef's tools. Or at least you are in a fully stocked kitchen.
21.
Okay. Yeah, so you very easily managed to make sure that all of the food is prepared in the exact way and specifications that your crew members are interested in. Bims is also doing his absolute heckin' best to help you out as best that he can. When you ask for certain utensils, you have not necessarily a way of speaking to him yet. You do not speak Draconic, but you can still kind of like point to things and then motion for him to bring it to you. And you have a system going on now where he is sort of like a tiny little sous chef that just flies around and makes sure that you actually have everything that you need to in order to complete your job to the best of your ability. And so then Jill is doing first mate things, which is the charismatic job, which she makes herself very scarce. She got a modified one. So she tries at first, but it's very apparent that she still is having like internalized feelings regarding the whole Umberly situation, and it's difficult for her to really come across as very open and, oh, you can come and talk to me, when she just has this permanent storm expression on her face. But thankfully, you guys were able to do well enough on the rest of the ship that everything is going incredibly smoothly as you continue on north. It's actually only going to be about 5 days travel as you're able to kind of navigate versus the 7 that you had assumed that it might have taken before. And that is where we are going to go into our break for the evening. So I would like to say thank you to these awesome players for joining us on this Saltmarsh. Thank you to everybody who has decided to stop by and join us in chat so far. And we are going to try and be back in 5 to 10 minutes. So don't go no place unless it is to grab a food, grab a drink, grab a friend, or possibly go to bit.ly/adventuremerch. Pick yourself up something nice. But until then, we'll see you guys soon. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm still not used to the new location that I have for my camera, so I was looking that way. But all you audiocast people don't care about that sort of thing. So, over the break, Reeves brought up that he would like to obviate as Ulman, using his acting skills to preternaturally know people's food preferences. So we are going to go back a little bit. So Ulman, let's get some obviator rolls. What was the first roll that you got, which was 21?
Yeah.
And then minus the survival that you had.
It actually would have been 2 higher because I don't have any survival.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so who is the crew member that you would like to learn about first? There is a halfling named Gramp. There is a half-elf named Tabitha. There is your dragonborn companion. And then I believe that there is... Oh, and Jeffrey the Goblin.
I'm going to make them tell me later, but it's going to be Jill.
Oh, okay.
Because even though I'm going to be avoiding them like hell, I want to, like, be trying to make nice with good food.
Okay. And you get a total of 3 things about them, correct?
Yeah.
So you can feel free to ask me either of those things, and I will do my best. If it seems like a thing that only KyleWithAnN would know the answer to, we can just say she will then tell you when she comes back.
Yeah, I just figured I'd throw them that way.
Okay. Sounds good. So you have successfully obviated Jill, and you learn more about her as in the process.
But the 3 questions I'm using for everyone are: what is their favorite sweet food? What is their favorite salty food? And what is their favorite, like, umami food?
Okay. Sounds good. So, who's the second person that you do this to?
I think I go for the Dragonborn next.
Okay. So her favorite sweet food is actually their sugar cookies. She just really enjoys them. As far as her favorite salty food, she enjoys it's not really salty, but it's more of like a vinegar kind of flavor. Does that count? It's she really enjoys pickled cabbage. And then as far as favorite umami flavor, probably pork, to be honest. Like a very nice like spit roasted pig, where the meat gets more like melty rather than chewy texture.
Another ham lover. I see.
Yeah, she loved that ham.
Very good. I don't want to hit the goblin.
Jeffrey. All right. Well, Jeffrey's favorite sweet thing you learn is a weird insect that only exists in the Underdark. You find out that his favorite salty thing, again, another weird insect that only existed in the Underdark. And as far as umami flavors, he enjoys beef. Much better than the weird bugs they had in the Underdark.
I'm making notes in case I
Okay.
can get these ingredients specifically.
Sure.
Then
So that is 3 people.
I do the rest of our cast here. So, Albus, what can I make for you?
For all those curious, this is basically what Nights in the Courtyard is like, but Kiana is using obviator powers to bring them into the main show.
It's really hard for me to think of a sweet food that Albus would like because me as Connor doesn't really like sweets.
I'm more going for those as like flavor profiles, so it doesn't necessarily have to be something like explicitly sugary.
It's going to be really fucking weird and fishy. Like, all of it.
Sure. I mean, there's a fish that literally tastes like cucumber, and that's like sweet.
Sugar-coated fish.
Albus would actually say it would be a sea cucumber.
All right.
And somewhere in there is going to be lutefisk.
Okay. And like fish roe. That's umami. They're delicious. I don't know how you feel about them.
I don't even know what you said, but I'm down for it.
Oh, I said fish roe. Like fish eggs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Specifically salmon roe.
Hey, Hish.
Hey, what's up?
You wanna give me some things I can cook for you?
I do. So Hish's favorite sweet is his favorite dessert is a sundae with a single scoop of like either vanilla or chocolate peanut butter ice cream, and then covered in like really thick fudge with a peanut butter cookie stuck in the top of it. And it's got the peanut butter cookie has to have like salt on top of it. And then salty. I'll come back to salty. His favorite like umami food is like really melty pork belly. Like really fatty, melty pork belly. So good. And then salty food. I think I'm trying to think of something that's specifically salty other than like potato chips, but that's the only thing that's coming to mind. I'll come back to you on that.
Totally fine. That's 5. So I have 2 more I can do and 3 more crew members? Question mark.
Yes, there are 3 other crew members.
There's the dwarf.
Yes.
What is he like?
Hold on just a second. For some reason, I didn't have my OneNote up. So, because your crew members, I don't know. I can't remember if there was a dwarf. Let me check real quick.
I thought there was a old dwarf. No. I have names.
What did I name him? What's his name?
Is that Scamp?
Scamp
The only crew.
is the old boy.
Yeah, I only have Scamp,
Oh.
Tabitha, and Jeffrey the Goblin.
Yes, those are your 4. You do not have a dwarf, but there is Scramp Whittles. He's from Luskin.
And he is just old?
He's a gnome. He's an old gnome.
Old gnome. Old short race, you know. I shot for the moon.
Yes. No.
What is he like?
Scramp, as far as a sweet food goes, he really enjoys like a honey glazed jerky. As far as salty flavor, a Gose beer, I guess. It's a very salty flavor profile. And it's made by the halflings in Luskin. And then as far as sweets go, they are just like, he likes malt balls. It's like malt balls and butterscotch hard candy are like his 2 go-tos. And then for Tabitha, the half-elf, Tabitha Beestinger, she enjoys as her... Wait, shit, I said 2 sweets. No, yeah, I said 2 sweets because there was honey jerky and then there was, for Scramp.
I mean, jerky is an umami flavor, so
All right,
it's just
sweet.
a sweet umami one,
Solid.
you know?
Sweet umami. Then Tabitha's, specifically her grandmother's cookies. That is her favorite sweet thing. Her favorite salty thing is like kettle chips. Like she's just very casual about the fact that she does enjoy just eating an entire bag of chips to herself. She does not care. And then her favorite umami food is like Southern style barbecue. She's all about that souse.
I'm glad that I only have to buy one type of meat and can easily access the other because we're a pork town. We got a lot of pork lovers here. All right, back to your regularly scheduled D&D.
Wait, I did figure out his
Oh.
favorite salty food. It's a hard-boiled egg dipped in soy sauce or Worcestershire sauce.
Yuck.
He'll eat a jar full of those.
Oh, yuck. Do not want, but Hish
Hey,
does.
indoor.
Yeah.
Eggs.
Yeah. For all you podcast listeners, I don't like them.
I love eggs. Sorry for bringing eggs on your show.
Where's
I should
my
make some of
realism?
those. Thank you for reminding me. Gonna have some tasty marbled eggs.
All right, so as the days go by and you have successfully obviated all of your party members, around day 4, Albus, after you've had a successful several days of being the ship's navigator, you are in the bilge, which is basically the largest room that is on this entire ship that nobody sleeps in because it is full of just sand and water near it, but that doesn't bother you at all. It's almost like a deprivation tank being down there, as you can just kind of float in the bottom of this ship without, like, just hearing the ASMR of creaking boards around you, of waves kind of passing you by as you are just out in this open ocean. And on the 4th night, as you are laying down, you feel the standard way that you are in this kind of deprivation sleep tank, and that eventually all of the physical form that you feel around you just sort of fades away, and you can just hear very clearly the audio around you. And it is at that point that you hear that audio begin to shift a little bit, and no longer do you hear the boards kind of bending around you or the people moving above, you just hear open water. And then that water sounds like it is picking up in speed, like there is some kind of current or wake that is moving around you. And as you open your eyes to kind of get a sense of where you are, you see that you are floating on your back in the middle of the ocean. And looking beneath you, you can see that there are these figures that are actually laying and resting underneath you to help move you along. And as you kind of crane your head to look down, you see a lot of these chuls and proto-chuls helping move you, carrying you from where you were to wherever it is that you are currently going. And as you kind of open up your eyes again and look out, you see that the moon above you has what looks to be a reddish glow to it, almost. And it is sort of displaying across the ocean that you find yourself in. And as you are continuing to get pulled, you see those white dolphin-sized forms that you had seen previously kind of swimming next to you. And you hear the same voice that had reached out to you before. You can go where we can't.
Where's that?
The land. You can walk. You can travel much quicker than we can. You must find them.
Find who?
The one who got away. That's why you're here, Seeker. And as it says that, you see them kind of just, these two just sort of jump up out of the water and then dive back in. And as the current continues to pull you forward, you feel your body beginning to shift and turn. And as you continue to turn and you look around you, kind of sitting up a little bit as you do, you see that this whirlpool that you have been drawn to previously, you are now entering into the upper lip of it, and it is beginning to spin you around its ring as you continue to go.
Do I have any insight as to whether it would be better for me to struggle against this or to let it happen?
Make an insight check.
Also, if this helps at all, the Kalashtar have a racial ability called Severed from Dreams. I don't know if that really helps with this.
No, this
Cool.
does not.
Nine.
Okay. So you believe that while not necessarily better to just let this whirlpool bring you in, you also know that once you get towards the upper rings of it, it becomes very difficult if you don't act quickly to actually get out. And looking up, you're not sure if you have hit that point or not. There is still a possibility of you being able to escape or not. Or if it would just send you kind of tumbling in this swirling pool of water.
Am I still being pulled to it by the Chul?
The Chul, as you have been floating, they seem to have actually been pulled off. It seems like you are just floating by yourself now as you continue on.
Okay, I'll struggle against it.
Okay, make an athletics check, but use your charisma modifier.
Okay. Okay. Alright, so that's a 5 plus 4.
Okay, so a 9. So you try and use your magical abilities to kind of propel you out, but as you are being carried, there seems to be some sort of force or object that is inside of this whirlpool with you that actually comes by and knocks you. And you feel your body kind of beginning to spin out a little bit as you try and right yourself as the whirlpool continues to just drag you down. And at some point, you actually find yourself with your head facing the bottom of this pool and your feet facing upward. And as you are spinning around in this whirlpool, you look up and your eyes are just focusing on the moon that is above you. And as your body continues to kind of spin around, you see that the moon actually lodges itself out of its current place in the sky and begins to almost follow above you, just creating this large spiraled formation above you as you find yourself going deeper and deeper into this whirlpool. And eventually you feel yourself being dragged deeper down still until that moon fades out into just a small little dot that is still making that same circular pattern. And that is when you are encompassed by blackness. And after several moments, you find yourself waking up. You are within the bilge of the ship as you were. And you've slept through the night. It's early in the morning, but you got your full 8 hours in.
I don't feel great. Ulman.
Do you go looking for Ulman?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Ulman. You are... Where does Ulman sleep?
He still sleeps in that hammock right underneath where Bim sleeps.
Okay. Yeah, so Albus, you've seen Ulman sleep there a number of times. And you arrive to... or Ulman, you wake up to Albus kind of calling your name as he opens the door to your resting quarters.
Still dripping with bilge. And yeah, he'll just like ask if you'll like go sit with him for a bit, and he'll share the dream with you, but not really talk about like what it means or anything. He just feels weird in the moment.
All right. I suppose we'll be on the lookout. Do you think there's another force at play here, like a third force?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, we're going that way anyway, so I suppose we'll find out, eh?
I guess. Yeah.
Seeker, right? That's what they called you?
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm supposed to seek the spiral, the one who got away. I think.
Sounds vague enough to be a quest.
That's a good way of putting it.
Dreams never give you enough information. It's always vague hogwash that you have to try to translate. And
I'm not used to having dreams.
they're usually pretty mundane, I have to say.
What do you dream about?
Well, I don't really dream anymore. But when I did, all sorts of random things. Sometimes I'd dream about being in trouble with my parents. Sometimes I dream about getting lost in the woods. I dream about people I met during the day, my friends. It was all nonsense. Most of the time, dreams are not very reliable for prophecy. But sometimes they feel very different, and you know it's something else. And sometimes you make very stupid decisions before you realize that in the moment.
Okay. This is all very new to me. Sorry.
I'm not to judge. Dreams are strange.
And I think that's where we leave the conversation.
Sounds good. So that is early on in the day, so your trip really doesn't get any more encumbered than it was previously. And as you are, Hish, you're drinking your coffee, you're reading your book, you are having this very base, this is my dad moment. This is my one dad moment I get every day, and I'll be damned if I miss dad moment. And you are reading this book. Other of your crewmen are out kind of setting the rigging and making sure that the sails are about at a half draw at this point. It seems like the wind hasn't really picked up so much that you can drop the entire sail. It would just be more cumbersome, and you wouldn't actually get more wind behind you from doing it. And it just seems to be very calm, kind of quiet. And then I'd like for you all to make perception rolls.
17?
Also 17.
All right, 7 plus 5.
Okay. So 13. I'm glad I rolled those nat ones for your crewmen, your hirelings' perception now. So, as you are all making your duties, Ulman, you hear the sound of water splashing kind of off the side of the deck, but not in a way that is something going overboard. It seems like something coming up. And Albus, you on while you are steering, you hear that actually from the very back of the boat. It seems like there are multiple splashes that are actually coming around the sides of your vessel. And as you go to kind of take a look down, you see a slightly familiar sight at this point. You see climbing up the side walls is a scaly, bloodshot eyes, fanged creature, these very gnarly looking claws just making its way up the side of the ship. And looking around quickly and being able to scan this, you are guessing that there are maybe 5 on this back area. And as you look down the side length of the ship, you can see that there are about 6 others that are also climbing up the sides. It looks like these Segugu, as some lizard folk, as Jim Dark Magic, as others have called them, are making their way actually up onto your ship. What do you do? You let everybody know that there is danger afoot.
Yeah, as soon as Ulman
Absolutely.
hears the splash, he looks over at Hish, and I think something's wrong.
All right.
Battle positions, everyone.
Roll for initiative.
Woo! Little of my coffee. 11 minus 1, that's 10 for Hish.
Okay.
22.
Also 22.
Ooh. And Hish, you said you got a 10?
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. So, Jill got a 9. And then all of these guys, your other crewmen, are going to be going after Albus and Ulman, but before Hish and Jill with a 17. And then the monsters. All right, so this actually works out. So Albus and Ulman, you two are going first, and you also had the highest initiative count. So makes sense to me. You see, quickly counting, it looks like there are a total of 20 of these creatures that seem to be trying to make their way up on the deck.
20?
20, yes.
Okay. Ulman, you have higher dexterity.
I think Ulman races out of the galley and sees that there are some climbing up behind you, so immediately continues rushing across the deck towards you. Can I make it in between them?
Yes.
Cool. And then I say to Ham, Ham, if you could, now would be a good time to shoot one. And Ham goes, okie dokie, blah, 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 bang. And shoots another bolt
Okay.
with a 22 to hit.
That'll totally hit.
7 damage.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, so it takes this damage, and you see it kind of recoils a little bit, and then this kind of bulbing-eyed fish creature just looks at you and bares its sharp teeth. But when it does, you see it brings its upper gums and lower gums down, or lips up and down, so that way you can just see a thick layer of gum on top of these teeth as it looks at you. Just, ah! And it is going to then be climbing up. Did you have a bonus action that you would like to do?
Not for now.
Okay, so it is these creatures' turns, or no, Albus's turn.
It's a turn.
Yes, sorry.
So that same where's Hish in relation to us?
Hish had been called out to while having a dad moment, probably in the captain's cabin. All they've heard is there's company and it's dangerous.
Oh, he was in the galley having his coffee,
Yeah.
so he's probably on his way up.
Okay.
Doing something stupid anyway. So Albus is gonna draw his rapier, and with his other hand, sort of just in sort of this whip formation, just move his hands, and that same lightning tentacle shaped force is going to need this Sahuagin to make a strength save.
Okay. It got a 15.
Well, that's my turn.
Okay. Sounds good. So, it is these creatures' turn. And you watch as there is one that is coming up on the side of the ship, the right side of the ship near where Ulman generally sleeps, is coming up onto the deck. And you see that this figure has, they're wearing kind of a, they have a bone necklace around their neck, and they have a, almost like a headdress, it seems like. And then there is another one that seems to have a much larger trident in his hands than the rest of these smaller fish. And they climb up, one near where Ulman sleeps, and the other finishes their ascent onto the aft castle of the ship near where the steering wheel is. And Albus, you had been at the steering wheel, correct? All right, so the one with this larger trident is then going to lash out towards you and try and make some attacks. So his first is going to be for a 21.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is 7 points of piercing damage.
Mm-hmm.
Then he is going to make another attack with his trident. That is a natural 20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, how much health do you have?
Roll.
Okay. So, a total of 13.
Albus is not killed. But he is unconscious.
Okay. So, Albus, you get stabbed by this duder. And then the priestess that comes up onto the board as well is going to cast a spiritual weapon and actually place it in between some of your hirelings. And they are going to try and attack. We're going to say Tabitha. And she do. So her weapon then deals a total of 5 damage to Tabitha, who seems to kind of recoil a little bit. But then the look that they shoot back at this priestess, her eyes kind of narrow, and you see her take a more martial stance, getting ready to unleash a wallop on her turn. Then all of these kind of smaller creatures, or not all of them, but about 9 of these other creatures end up making their way up onto deck. So, Ulman, you are going to have 2 on you, and then the rest are going to be harrying the rest of your party members. It gets a nat 1 against you, Ulman. The first one anyways, and then is going to attack with a claw. Also fails that. Second one is I'm guessing an 11 doesn't hit.
Negatory Ghost Rider.
But a modified 20 does. This'll be...
Negatory Ghost Rider. I use my reaction.
Oh, shit.
And, sorry. Ham, like... I go to like block with my shield on my wrist, and he like goes he like chops underneath towards my chest, and Ham just like grows another shield on the chest.
Oh, gross.
For a moment, it just pops out.
I love it.
Sort of like a cartoon heartbeat, but a shield.
Yeah.
Excellent. I love this. All right, so it is going to fail on those attacks, and then the rest are going to be towards your fellow hirelings. One is going to actually hit Neris for 9 points. Which is good, but then everybody else in that slew just did not cut it as well as the guy fighting against Albus. So next up, Hish. It is your turn. You hear a bunch of fighting up on the deck, as well as it seems like people are casting magic. Again, there's been cries of pain that have come out. This seems like you are currently under siege.
No. Hish groans as he puts down his book and his coffee, and he gets up and walks up to the deck.
Okay.
And unsheathes his flame tongue 420 scimitar. And I think he's gonna saddle up next to Ulman. And is Ulman near the one with the headdress?
Ulman is across the way from the one with the headdress.
Oh. Okay, then he won't saddle up next to Ulman. He'll just look around, find the one with the headdress, because they seem pretty important. And he's gonna swing his scimitar and lash out at them.
Okay. Make an attack roll.
You got it. That is a natural 20!
Womp, 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 womp.
Yo.
Roll them double dice.
So that's a 6 plus 7, 13. 5 plus 7, 12. And then because it's flaming, I'm going to add plus 2d6.
Okay.
Do you want me to do that twice as well,
yes.
or just one?
When you crit on this channel, roll all dice twice.
So that's 6 total and 7 total.
Okay. So 6 and 7 for a total of 13. Seems good. And then you added your strength bonus, correct?
I don't add my strength bonus to the fire damage.
No. Okay, so you're hitting this one.
But I did to the rest of the.
Okay. Sounds good. So sorry, it was 6 fire damage, 7 fire damage. What was the base?
Crap. 13 and then 12.
Okay, got it. Sounds good. So, then, do you have a bonus action you would like to do?
I can do another attack, right?
Are you guys level 5? Because at level 4 you cannot.
Oh, I thought last time I could do another attack with my unarmed strike.
You can do an offhand attack as a bonus action. Not with the same weapon, but it would be an offhand.
Right. So if I do like an offhand unarmed strike.
Yes.
Then I would like to do that.
Yeah, okay. Make an attack roll.
Okay. It is a 14 plus 7.
Okay, yeah, that'll hit. So it is going to take 6 points. Okay. You have rocked this creature. They managed to, on the second hit that you deal with them, you see the spiritual weapon fade away as they seem to have lost concentration on it, having been beaten quite heavily. So then next up is going to be Jill. And Jill will do a second level healing word towards Albus. And she says, it's more of a whisper. But as the healing word ends up getting to Albus, what you hear as as this health is then coming back to you is, you can't die yet. We need to talk about something. And then that will be 2d4 plus 5 to you. So that is going to be 12 points of health back.
I'm back to full.
Oh boy. Excellent. All right, so you have just been healed, which is good. Then next up is going to be your crewmen, because I forgot that they needed to go as well. So Tabitha is going to rush over and try and land some unarmed strikes against this priest while hanging out with you, Hish. The first strike misses. The second strike does hit, and she deals 6 points, and then she is going to use a bonus action for a flurry of blows. That was the wrong dice to roll. And manages to hit again, which is good. Oh shit! Go Tabs. So Hish, as you crit with your sword, as you kind of do this more glancing swipe and then use the opportunity to punch, I'm guessing it was more of like a gut shot to this creature, just like a quick one. As they're kind of keeled back, Tony Jaw style, just over your shoulder, Tabitha comes up with her elbow and just drops it onto the priest's head. The wrappings that they have kind of flump in, and then as their head goes down, you see Tabitha then spin on her heel and just bring her knee actually into the side of this Sahugin's head, and they collapse down onto the ground, no longer moving. And you see her give a smile that every grandma would be proud of as she kind of drops this creature. Then next up is going to be Neris. and she is going to look down at the Sahugin that are still clawing their way up, and you see there is a smirk on her face for a brief moment, and she will cast a spiritual weapon in between the Sahugin as they are trying to climb up the side of the ship, and it just begins slicing out against them. She's going to hit with one of her attacks and deal minimum damage. So that's fine. Then next up is Gramp. And you just see he takes out a crossbow and just kind of shakily points it towards the one with the large trident, and he is going to try and make an attack. He hits. So he is going to end up dealing 12 points of piercing damage as he had an ally within 5 feet, allowing him to get his sneak attack off. So that's fine. Oh, wait. Ugh. So many moving parts. And then that is it for your crewman. So then next up is going to be... Well, she's dead now, so not her. Albus and Ulman.
How close am I to that heckin' dude who stabbed my friend here?
You have about 3 Sahugin that have surrounded you, and they're within running distance. You'd be able to get there on your movement. It's just more of a matter of you are currently surrounded.
I thought it was next to him.
Albus?
Yeah, because I ran to be between him and whatever Sahugin were coming up.
Oh, okay,
right
got it. Sorry. Yes. You would already be that Sahugin would, like, the tall boy would probably be maybe like 5 feet away from where you are.
Great. I'm gonna stab him real good.
Okay.
I spin around as soon as Albus drops. I'm like, oh, you made a very wrong choice. And I will attack him twice, or just once, and cast a spell as part of it. Does a 23 hit?
Oh yeah, that totally hits.
I guess, is there anyone within 5 feet of him that is also an enemy?
That's also an enemy?
Yeah.
There would be 2 other creatures that are also there.
One of them will take some flame damage.
Ooh.
But
Did you do a green flame blade?
Green flame.
Green flame. It's an Inc. game. You have to say it now.
So I do 10 damage to the Trident boy as I stab them, and as I slash at their flesh, the blood that touches the blade begins to turn to green flame and like splashes back towards one of the other Sahuagin.
Okay. How much do they take?
4 flame damage.
All right, so you see that this one was one of the creatures that had kind of been hit earlier. So as this ends up kind of splashing onto it, you see them bring their hands up and they just collapse off to the side, no longer moving. Seems like the flames were a little bit much for this one. All right.
Can't stand the heat. Get off the boat.
Yes. All right, so Albus, what would you like to do?
What enemies are in my vicinity?
There is the tall big boy, and then there are 2 smaller ones.
How hurt is the tall big boy looking?
He is looking rightly injured. He's not bloodied, but he is still looking pretty heavily damaged.
All right, I'm gonna go for him.
Okay.
With my I'm gonna get up.
Yes.
Using half my movement, and then I'm gonna go stab him with my rapier.
Do it.
How does a 11 look?
That is not going to hit him. As your rapier sails out, you see in this moment, as you're much closer and can actually focus on him for the brief moments before him having attacked you previously. He's actually wearing a breastplate, so as your rapier hits against it, sort of just glances off to the side as this deep, fish-like guttural laughter begins to escape from his mouth.
That's my turn.
Okay, so next up is this biggin. And Ulman, seeing as how you just did him a dirty, he is going to turn and with both of his hands on his trident is going to stab down towards you.
I want to bear Sahuagin teeth at him and impose disadvantage.
Okay. Sounds good. So he got a 13 to hit with disadvantage.
Negatory.
Okay, sounds good. So after you bare your teeth at him, he's going to bare his teeth at you, and he's going to try and bite you. And that is a 23 to hit.
That will hit, yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So that is going to be for... Boop, boop. Woohoo! That is going to be for a total of 12 points of piercing damage. As he just bites into your shoulder. And then, seeing as how you are still standing, and Albus, you have proven yourself in his eyes to be a not very worthy combatant at all, he is going to take his trident and try and stab against you again, Ulman. And that is a 10 to hit, so worse than the first time. But he did get his bite in. Next up are a wave of these nasties. So the two that are next to both you, Ulman and Albus, they are going to try and stab at you with their small tridents. The one against Albus is going to be a 9 to hit.
Cool.
And the one against Ulman is going to be a 21 to hit.
That does also hit.
Okay. That's not the right dice. Flew out of my hand anyways. So, then that is going to be for 9 points of piercing damage. As it stabs out against you. Hish, you are over fighting with Tabitha. You are also going to be getting... there are about 3 of these Sahugin that have come up and are trying to harry against you. So, does a 16 hit?
It does.
Okay. So, this
wait. My armor class is 16, and if they get 16, it hits,
yes,
right? Okay, then yeah, it hit.
All right, you are also going to be taking 9 points of piercing damage.
You got it.
All right, and then the third attack against you is a 19 to hit as well. And this creature seems to only be using a trident in one hand as it attempts to do its work. 4 points of piercing damage. And then some are going to harry Tabitha. One gets a natural 20 against her, but the other 2 miss, so she is going to be taking a total of 6 points of damage. So she is looking pretty hurt at this point. Like, she's been hit a few times, but she's still kicking. Neris is also going to have... she's going to get an opportunity attack as one of these creatures is actually coming up to try and hit her with her spiritual weapon, and she misses that. So then she is going to get 3 of these guys on her as well. None of them actually hit because she's wearing pretty good armor underneath her red and purple robes. 3 of them are going to see that Captain Gramp is trying to be a bastard man with his little with his crossbow, and they are going to try and assail him, but a 1, a 2, and an 8 are not going to do it. And then there are 3 that are on Jill that are going to try and strike out against her as well. So 2 of them missed, but 1 of them did get a natural 20 with their stab. So they... min damage of 3 to our dear friend Jill, who you hear her say... is that the best you've got? And then she's going to use her reaction to just shoot lightning from her chest and just blast this dude using her channel divinity ability. I need to see where that is. Destructive wave. So, oh no, not that one. What is the one that she uses? Because Channel Divinity. Oh, Wrath of the Storm. That's the one. So it's 2d8 lightning damage towards this fool. And she is going to deal 12 points. And this creature does not like that at all. 4. There we go. All right. So then next up is... That was enemy creature's turn. Now it's your crewman's turn. So Tabitha is going to try and bust down some of the Sahuagin that are near you, Hish. And that is a failure. The second hit works, though, so she's feeling pretty good about that. And with this strike, is actually able to bring another one of these Sahuagin creatures down. Bringing their numbers down quite significantly. It looks like they've actually sustained quite a few losses due to your party members. As Captain Scram is going to use his bonus action to disengage. Just get the fuck out of these three, and he's going to come up where you are, Hish, and actually bring out a crossbow bolt and use it as an impromptu dagger to kind of just stab one of these in the back. And he gets a 14 to hit, which I think, yes, there's enough. Yeah, so he and Tabitha actually team up and just murderize one of these Sahuagin creatures. No issue there. Okay. It looks like their numbers are a little bit over half of what they were previously. You guys are actually doing a pretty solid number on them. All right, so that is it for those two. Neris is going to kind of pivot, and seeing as how she can get several of these enemies in a line, she is going to just open up her mouth and spit this line of acid directly at them, so they need to make some dex saves. Only one of which succeeds. So 2 of them are going to be taking 5 points of damage, and then one of them is going to be taking 2. Which is good. And they just start shrieking. They were not expecting this creature to throw acid up on them. And then with her other hand, she brings up her spiritual weapon, which you weren't really able to see what it was when it was off of the side of the ship. But as it raises up over the deck, you see that it is the silhouette of a large black dragon's head. And as it goes to make its attack, you see its jaws just open up, and it is going to try and bite out at one of these Sahuagin, which she totally does. So she is then going to deal 7 points of radiant damage as it bites into this boy. And at that, you see this dragon just... There seems to almost be like a satisfied growl that comes from it as this Sahuagin is just cleaved in two from the sheer force of this radiant bite. Ugh. Next up, Hish.
Yay! Hish is going to turn to Tabitha and Scramp, and he says, hold them off. And he's going to turn and run towards Big Boy Trident Boy.
Okay. 2 of them are going to get attacks of opportunity against you.
That's fine.
That is a natural 1 and a 6.
Woo! So yeah, Hish is going to run up yelling at Big Boy Trident Boy and just slice him with his scimitar.
Okay, make an attack roll.
That is 11 plus 7.
Okay, yeah, that hits. Roll for damage.
And I'm going to use a superiority dice to make it a distracting strike. So I'm going to add a die to the total damage, and the next attack roll against him by someone else has advantage if the attack happens before my turn.
Okay.
So what So that's 3 plus 9, 10. So it's 10 base damage plus 4 plus 4 and 2.
Okay.
The 4 and 2 is 6 fire damage.
Sounds good. Yeah, so as your blade just sinks into this guy, now he is most assuredly looking bloodied from this interaction. He lets out this kind of shriller shriek as your flaming sword just seems to leap out of nowhere. Like you've rushed up onto the aft castle and just started slicing into this guy. He is very much distracted now as there's a flaming scimitar near him. Which is good. Then it is Jill's turn. And she will... but I think that she has a Thunderwave spell, which she is also going to cast at the 2nd level. So the 3 creatures that are around her are all going to need to make saves in order to not take this damage. That dice has rolled so many natural ones. I don't know if I like that. They all fail, which is good. So they're going to be taking 3d8 thunder damage as a loud cacophonous boom just comes out from Jill as she attempts to level these fools. And so that is... You see all 3 of these creatures just fall backwards and die from the sheer blast of her strike, as each one took over 20 damage from all of this. So looking around, you see that there are maybe... there's like 2 left. And Tabitha and Scramp are both just sitting there being like, oh yeah. We know what to do with these motherfuckers. We know what's up. So that is it for Jill's turn. Next up is going to be Albus and Ulman.
I'm going to make immediate use of that advantage there, as I cast Green Flame Blade again. And I just go right for his neck.
Okay.
Right where the armor stops. Glad I had advantage there. There was a nat 1 avoided. Does 19 hit?
A 19 does hit. Roll for damage.
Great. As I stab him as well, as a bonus action, my pupils dilate out as far as they can, and his pupils respond in kind as mine flash back. I curse him.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck? What is this leading up to?
So 15 damage.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, and then flames leap out, and it was one of the few remaining ones left that is just also dropped, now securing the only 2 left being between Tabitha and Scramp. And then Albus.
Almond, you're going to get a healing word.
Oh, appreciate it.
You get... Shit. What was this? You get 6. What else is left?
All that is left is this kind of chieftain-looking individual with his trident in front of you, and then the 2 that are over with Tabitha and Scramp. It seems like all of the others have actually been dealt with pretty handedly.
The chief, how bad is he looking, and how far away from me is he?
He is about 10 feet away from where you are, and he is looking... He's looking very, very heavily injured.
Okay.
Definitely bloodied.
Okay, I'm going to try to just like come out at him from the side with my rapier. Natural 20.
Okay. Get stabby with it.
That is going to be what is this? 11 points of piercing damage.
Woo! Yeah, this guy is barely holding on.
And I would like to use a point of bardic inspiration.
Yes.
Where's my bardic inspiration? There it is. So what he sees is sort of outlining Albus. Well, the first thing he sees is 3 little pricks of green light that start showing up here, here, and here. And then he starts to see the this like spectral form surrounding Albus, and 2 tendrils that just pierce himself into his temple. He's gonna take. Is this also critted?
Yes.
Okay. It was 2. Now it's 10
Okay.
points of psychic damage as this
As these
spectral
tentacles.
aboleth like tentacles into his head.
All right. Is there anything that you would like to say as this creature dies beneath your tendrils? Okay. Yeah, its eyes just go wide as it looks at you, and you see it like trying to mouth a word, and then it just stops being able to move its mouth and just collapses down onto the ground. And as it does, you see that where its skin is this very like deepish green color, there are it's almost like there's a little bit of steam that seems to be rising off of this creature's body, and it goes towards Ulman, and then with a big whiff in, like you are a 1920s Disney character smelling a pie, these vapors that have come off of the Sahuagin enter into your nose, and you gain the benefits of your hex.
Feeling better already.
What was that?
So,
Huff this guy?
can we call this the first battle of the Lizard War that they're engaging? He says, obviously deflecting your question.
And as you look over, deflecting this question, you see that your 4 hirelings have surrounded these 2 Sahuagin, and Tabitha is like cracking her knuckles. Scramp has 2 daggers out, and they're all just steadily encroaching. Neris is just moving this dragon head forward. And in a matter of moments, these Sahuagin on the inside have just met their ends very quickly at your at the encouragement of Jill, as the first mate. Your hirelings have done this.
Well, that was fun.
Well,
Don't think I've forgotten that you just snorted a guy.
I have no clue, so I can't really tell you.
Insight check.
Okay.
Oh, that's an 8 plus 5.
It looks like he
seems-
huffed a guy.
Huh?
It looks like he huffed a guy.
Does he know why he huffed a guy?
With a 15? No. Not entirely sure why.
Okay. Yeah. Hish just kind of rolls his eyes and says, well, let's get this ship cleaned up. And then, Ulman, I think we've all deserved to open up a cask of brandy. What do you think?
I think that you're absolutely correct, Captain, and I will commence that post-haste.
Okay.
Let's get to work.
All right, sounds good. So, this was on day 4 of your journey. So luckily you guys you continue the rest of your day. After searching through these Sahuagin, you find that the largest one, again, had a breastplate that is sized for a large creature. He was a very, very big boy. Then there is it looks like there was another shark tooth necklace, as well as kind of like a very crude casting focus that the Sahuagin priestess seemed to have. And then the regular ones just seem to have like satchels full of like kelp. And the Sahuagin variant of rations, you see that there's some questionable meat. You aren't necessarily sure how long it's been in there or how really well it keeps being under the ocean for extended periods of time. So you guys just end up throwing most of it out, except for the kelp, as that's actually pretty useful for Ulman to use in the kitchens. But after clearing off the ship, the hirelings then get to work just cleaning up around as best they can. There's a lot of bloodstains to get out now, and they're coming, but
it's fine. We don't. We'll stain over it later.
They got most of them. There's still a few where it's like it's in the cracks between the gun rail and the deck of the ship, and it's like
you're never.
It's not noticeable, but you know it's there, and so it's always going to be like, I know that corner's dirty. It'll never be clean. This place will just never be clean. That's fine. And as you guys are sailing, make survival checks, and this is after you guys have had short rests and all of that, because I'm assuming once you're able to take them, you probably would.
5 plus 3, 8.
It's just survival, right?
Yeah.
6.
10?
Okay.
We're doing great.
So, Ulman, as you guys are sailing forward, you see kind of farther off that it is more or less the island that has been outlined by Hish, by Albus, and so you're fairly certain that the waters around here might get unexpectedly dangerous. Hish has explained that whirlpools and those sorts of things just sort of happen around this place. And talking with Albus, at least from what you've gathered, you have a fair understanding as to the possibility as to why. So you're on the lookout, essentially, in case anything ends up looking strange. But you guys managed to sail. Do you end up saying anything about this island as well? Or do you just kind of like, this is dangerous, if I'll just be extra careful for everybody?
I mention it to the captain, to Hish, and I let them make that decision.
Okay. So yeah, Hish, you have been pointed out that the island that you remember going down near is maybe an hour or two sail away.
Not the island that we're going to, but the island that we were shipwrecked.
It was the island that you had gotten shipwrecked on. The island that the last known location of this ghost ship was around. So you're fairly certain that kind of as you pass by it and as you're looking at it, that this is when you need to start looking out for the actual remnants of the Iron Duke.
Yeah. Okay. I think he I don't know if we have like a bird's nest or anything, but he posts his crew on the lookout for any remnants, and he himself goes to the front of the ship to keep an eye out, and we continue sailing on.
Okay. So, going into the 5th day, make a roll 2d6, Ulman.
10.
Okay, and then Albus, roll 2d6.
9.
Okay, so it is later on in the evening, as you have already been sailing for quite some time along the pretty far away from the general coast of the Sword Coast, but you're still just in the Sword Sea, kind of going between a lot of the teeth that are spaced around here. And as you are sailing forward, you see off in the distance maybe a mile or so away from where you are is what looks to be a ship on the water that is in complete disrepair. You see that there is a large hole in the side hull of the ship that is just barely above the point where it would be taking in water. You see that the central mast has kind of been broken and snapped, and there are a few masts, or there are a few sails that are still there, but they seem to shine and shimmer in the dwindling sunlight in a way that you're not sure if it's canvas or something else. And just looking at this ship as the, again, sun begins to set, it seems like it is just sort of idly sailing, being able to somehow navigate between the teeth. And Jill sort of lets the crew know that that is what you are looking for in terms of ships, and lets the rest of you know as well that according to the contract and based on the descriptions that she's received, that is your best bet.
Do I recognize?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
This is an old familiar friend to Hish.
Yeah, Hish stands quietly at the front of the ship and just watches as we get nearer with his arms folded.
Okay. And at a certain point, Tabitha and Scramp, or no, it'd be Tabitha and Neris, bring up that if there was anybody that is on this ship, it would probably be best if everybody went in a rowboat, just to kind of make an easier in and then easier back out. And so Jill also agrees that it would probably be best to get in rowboats rather than rowing, or rather than trying to get your ship so dangerously close that you could board, especially when you aren't sure what the deal is going on in there. So a lot of you end up getting into a rowboat, and then they begin taking you off to the other side of where this ship is. And as you are getting closer, I'd like for you all to make perception checks.
You got it. +5, 15.
Okay.
19.
18.
15, 19, and 18. As you guys are looking up, you see that these sails that had been shimmering in the late moonlight, or late evening light, they look like they are made of a enormous collection of web. It seems like this is covered in some sort of spider web.
Not fucking spiders.
This is our celestial penance for not clearing out the spider room.
We'll rectify that whenever we get back.
Jill looks like, just this? All of this?
We find the lockbox. We burn the ship. In and out.
I don't care how many spells I have to use. We will burn this ship down.
That's fine by me.
Don't want to know how many spiders there are. It's probably hopeless. Same as last time.
That's a lot of web. It's a hopeless amount of spiders.
And Tabitha and Neris both just,
It could be very few large spiders, though.
That's not helping.
That's worse. That's worse.
I don't know. I'd rather fight one horse-sized spider than 100 spider-sized horses.
Hish turns around to look at you.
And I imagine Ulman has just like hands on his hips, just like the most genuine, just.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Sure. And Hish, with a slight, very slight smile, turns and looks on at the Iron Duke, arms still folded.
Okay. So very easily you guys kind of you bring up a grappling hook. Seems like kind of a poor idea given the current structural integrity of this ship, but you managed to you actually carried with you at the base of this rowboat a ladder to kind of help you get up onto the side and board. And when you make your way up onto the deck, you see that everywhere, littered across this deck, in the corners, across the masts and broken bits, are just webs, thick as can be. And you see that there are, like, as you get on board, there are just these small, tiny spiders that seem to skirt away from your footsteps as you make your way onto the deck. And looking around, you can see that there is stairs that lead up to the forecastle and the aft castle. There are doors to the north of the ship and then to the front of the ship and then to the back of the ship as well. And Hish, you very well remember the layout as you kind of get your old feeling back for it. And you know that going through the backside of the ship will actually help lead you down into the internals of the ship.
Mm-hmm. I think Hish would communicate that to everyone, and then I think he's going to make his way. His first stop would be the captain's quarters.
Okay. So, as you begin going into that back room, you also see that the wheel that is up on the aft castle of the ship is just kind of listing from side to side. It doesn't actually seem like it is really controlling the boat all that much, more so as it is just sort of turning when it needs to based off of the tide beneath. And as you open up this back door to begin heading deeper down into the deck or into the hull of the ship, you open this door and you see that there is a rough stone altar that dominates this cabin. There are strange markings that cover its surface and dried mud cakes that floor around it. And dried mud cakes the floor around it, and humanoid skulls ring the walls above, each mounted on a wooden spike. The corners of this room are piled with garbage and debris, crudely cut wooden logs, smashed furniture, torn sacks, shattered crates, and small piles of dried palm fronds. A staircase descends from the southeast corner, and an acrid odor fills the air. If you would like, you can make a religion check as you kind of perceive this, altar.
Sure. There's a 7 for Hish.
Okay. Anybody else can make a religion check on this altar as well.
That's 6.
I got 12.
All right. So, Ulman, you recognize this symbol. And does Jill? Fucking nope, she does not. But Ulman, you recognize this symbol. And as you look at it and look at this statue, it makes sense why there are so many spiders and webs that are on this ship. This is an altar to Lolth, the spider god. And that is where we are going to call it for tonight's session. So I would like to say thank you so much to everybody who decided to stop on by and join us on this wonderful journey through the salvage operation mission in the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. We do the show every week, so come by. It's a good time. We're going to start our sign-off. So, Dingo, where can we find you? What do you do?
You can find me on Twitter at WheresMyDingus. My schedule is going to be moving around pretty soon, but as for this week, tomorrow you can find me on Off the Table, twitch.tv/off_the-table, playing Urban Shadows, Sanguahona, The Claiming, The Midnight Crew. It's got 8 titles, but it's very good. It's yeehaw. And then Saturday, you're also going to find me on Off the Table playing the final episode of our Ryutama campaign, A Song in the Sea. So that should be real fun. And I think that's it for this week.
Excellent. So, Reeves, where can we find you? What do you do? I have to keep taking off my glasses because it's too warm and they keep fogging up.
Oh, hello there. I'm Reeves. You can find me at Twitter at Reeves_bot or on Twitch at Reeves_bot. I stream on Wednesdays and Sundays. On Wednesdays, I'm trying to play through all the games in my library that I've never played, and it's a process. I play 3 a week for an hour each, all chosen by a co-host that rotates weekly. On Sundays, we're playing through Divinity 2, and when we finish that, we're going to be starting up some system game based in Eberron that should be Final Fantasy Tactics-esque.
Nice.
Is our goal. That's all.
Alrighty. And Cyber, where can we find you? What do you do?
I'm Cyber. You can find me on Twitter at CyberWolf1201, where I shitpost and talk about whenever I go live on various things like this, or whenever I go live on my own channel, twitch.tv/CyberWolf1201. I'm a variety streamer who plays video games badly, but I talk about the lore because that's fun. I don't know what I'm doing this weekend, if I'm continuing Halo, which we had a really good start, raised $80 for the victims of the El Paso shooting, and violent video games, maybe not the cause for all the problems in the world. I don't know if I'm going to continue with that or do something else, because, birthday stream, got to do something different for it, right? All the archives that go to a YouTube, which has a horrible URL, you can find it by going to my Twitch page. You can find all the archives of that. You can find a podcast that KyleWithAnN and I do called Let's Talk About, where we get drunk, do parkour, and talk about the RPG stuff that we did. We're going to record an episode at some point. But other things that get uploaded to that YouTube include D&D Beyond homebrew tutorials. I just put a video up yesterday where we added the Dunamancy spells from Critical Role into D&D Beyond. So if you want to do some weird fate manipulating bullshit, maybe consider checking out that video. Give it a like, subscribe so I can change my fucking URL. But for RPG stuff, other than that, you can find me here on twitch.tv/Indoor Adventures on Monday, where I play a Black Dragonborn blood hunter with daddy issues, who very much misses his dad. Or here, which you already found.
Yeah. Also on this show is our dear friend KyleWithAnN, also known as Kylan. They stream kind of infrequently, but when she was playing through Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, we came together as a community and bought her a gavel. So if you're ready for some gaveling ASMR while she judges who's guilty, consider going to twitch.tv/KyleWithAnN. Also on your Monster of the Week game that you're in, Dingo, I think.
That just had its finale this week.
Okay,
so
no, she is not.
But she is in an Urban Shadows game, I think.
Yes, she is on Off the Table's Urban Shadows podcast. I'm not sure if they've released episodes yet, but if you go to @off_the table on Twitter, you'll be able to find those episodes.
Yes. And if you have made it this far, you probably already know who I am. But if you don't, hey fella, what's up? It's me, your buddy, your pal, your friend, the Indoor Adventurer, the showrunner here at twitch.tv/Indoor Adventures. We stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. All the weekdays are at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All of our Saturday streams are at 11 a.m. This week, I am going to continue my painting adventure. I have my my Vox Machina minis that I got from Steamforged Minis that we're going to be doing. Last time we did Trinket. I don't know who I want to paint next. Probably Grog, because his color palette is gray. It's very nice. Other than that, we have a Discord that you can possibly join in on that's going to be linked in the description of either this audio cast or this VOD, all of which go to either anywhere where you can find podcasts. I've done my best to make it available, so that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, which they changed their categories again. It's frustrating. But Podbean, Stitcher, Overcast. We got podcasts and stuff all sorts of places. And again, if you're interested in watching the video, you can possibly go to youtube.com/Indoor Adventures. That's right. Other than that, we got our Patreon set up for our after show. So that is where we are going to be heading off to now. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you to all these players, again, for putting up with my bullshit each and every week. And until next time, we will see you guys later. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.